This is day 219 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it'd be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we are doing Siman Kuf Nun Ches Siv Gimel to still Siman Kuf Nun Ches Siv Ches. And yesterday we started Hilchos Netilas Yadayim, and that is what we are doing today. Right? Yeah. Be very careful about Netilas. Anybody who is frivolous about Netilas Yadayim, barley Daniels comes to poverty. V'nekar is uprooted from the world. There's a person who questioned the need for Netilas Yadayim. They doubted it. And he cursed. He cursed him, I guess. He died as a count of this kola. Anybody who transgresses the word Chachamim, which required Netilas Yadayim, is liable to death. B'dei Shemayim. The only chiyuv Netilas Yadayim is on bread in which you make a motzi. But for that you have to do it even if you don't know if your hands are tummy. Even if you don't know that your hands became tummy. You make a bracha even though it's Rabbanan. The came with Chachamim tiknu zeh shaykh lamar b'tzibonu, because since Chachamim enacted this, the word b'tzibonu is appropriate. We call it lo saser because we learn from lo saser not to deviate from the words of Chachamim. It's also it gives us kedusha. Why came with the samu zeh akrabis kadash them, because they link this pasuk become holy. So it gives us holiness. Although I know why we have to say that specifically on this mitzvah, but all mitzvahs say v'kidash tanu, and not sure why specifically you have to explain that here. But for bread in which you don't make hamotzi, you go lachmanios, such as rolls, which we would interpret to be sweet rolls, or pasaba b'kisnin, or whatever pasaba b'kisnin is, that mysterious and ambiguous entity, which we'll learn more about as we get into it. In the where the bread is. These are types of pastries and flatbreads. Which you make mazonos. Ain't some of this dime. You don't make a Netilas Yadayim. If you were koveh sudan, you made them into a meal, which we'll question what that means exactly. But if you do, hamotzi, when you do make hamotzi of them, so Netilas Yadayim b'bracha, you need to wash it Netilas Yadayim and make a bracha. Those who doubt that, there is no doubt. Anybody who eats bread in which you make a motzi, mean whenever the bracha becomes a motzi, you make it this time. This is agreed upon by the commentators. Then that is how we should paskin. Little yodav be bracha, to make a wash your hands with a bracha. Ubi bracha. Why did they not make a bracha on these when you're not koveh soon of them? Because they only made a bracha on achila, which is a set, so to speak, permanent one. A formal one, I guess, better term. It has motzi and birkas hamazon, and the kedusha is evident. Interesting language of kedusha being evident. But not when you make a mezainis, it's a snack. It's not a formal eating. It's informal. Bracha achroina ketzorin, there's a short bracha achroina. And the kedusha is not so evident in this. Okay, when I was in high school, then entenmann's became kosher for the first time, and it was tremendous simcha for Klal Yisrael. For those who keep Chol Yisrael like myself, it wasn't such a great simcha, but for those who don't keep Chol Yisrael, it was a tremendous simcha. And I have a good friend of mine, still a good friend of mine, and he at the time he would buy entenmann's cakes and make hamotzi, and then ahead of time, because he knew we was going to consume the entire cake. Okay, I don't think he does this anymore for many years, but that was during high school. So going on, then also unless in his eyes, answer the details your time. You don't have to wash because there's no benching in his eyes. But there's some those who say shagam apachs make a beitza pass, even less than a kibetza, which is two kazesim, and certainly there's I'm not to wash. But time to call tumas ochlin have a kibetza because all of tumas ochlin is in at least the size of a kibetza. Although it's makabel tuma by less than kibetza, it doesn't give off tuma by less than kibetza. He told Yodav Leibach that if you should wash and not make a bracha. Avol Robo say Lasrilikain. Most of the rabbis not all the way. The Kavon, the Chayim Birkas Hamazon by Mosi since over a Kazayis, you already Chayim Birkas Hamazon Mosi. Lo Pru Rabban not showing distinctions. But he told Yodav very Yavarach and should wash hands and make a bracha. Avol Yeshua is a rak b'truma. Some people say that that's only a truma. The suffix brachos lahakel. Okay, so brachos lahakel. Evidently, that means that if you eat less than a kibetza, Arukh HaShulchan is saying that you would not make a bracha until Sidaim. Okay, it's a bit of a chiddush, a major chiddush, I would say. I don't think that's the way Pascal Meiser, but I don't see Mishnah Berurah argues. Let's see. The suffix bracha, b'mishesh mitzvah so much brachos v'gzais yito below bracha. You should make you make less gzais. You should wash. Just don't make a bracha. Came to the bracha motzi. So you should wash. Chumduma shalom lo tafsu kain. The Arukh HaShulchan thinks that that's not the meaning of him. But bracha gzais ain't tzarich l'tios daim, and less gzais you don't need l'tios yadayim. That brings down practice. When Shechazim Avram, Sip Kandal, Chosip Kim B'Shulchan Hu Minuscha Muteis. Okay, whatever that is. The Mishnah Berurah brings down that the Several Achronim Paskin, they don't need a tefillah for less than gazayis, but he brings the Several Achronim who argue and hold that even less than gazayis, it's like less than a kibetza, and you should wash your hands and not make a bracha. And the Chatchila is Nochal Hachmir, and I believe the minhag is to be machmir on this. Years ago, when I was living in Chicago, before I know still is the same, the breadsmith opened up, again, another big milestone in kosher eating, and they made exotic breads, which the kosher consumer was not used to. And they used to have samples out of less than kazayis. And there's a sign on the wall that for less than kazayis, you don't have to bench, and you wash, but without a bracha. So I think the minhag olam is like that, even to wash and even less than the kazayis, but not to make a bracha until Sidaim. And you would make a motzi, and you would not bench. Okay, Dalit. I'm reading from Pesachim. Anything which you dip in liquid, in a beverage. In other words, fruit or vegetable or dipped in liquid. Some say the past goes just like by bread, they made a gzera, lest you come to eat truma with the tummy hands. The sheni also shlishi b'truma, because sheni makes shlishi by truma. Your tummy hands will make the truma shlishi. Mashkin kaimelan, when mashkin we hold the kapos of truma, the time is mashkin, anything which makes truma a shlishi makes mashkin lios tchila a rishon. Those are rabban, of course. I feel b'chulin, even a chulin. If that's the case, shalom tell yodav. If you don't wash your don't wash your hands, and your hands are shneim, yitamu yadayim mashkin, the hands will make the beverage tamei. Lios tchila, it will become a rishon b'tuma. Mashkin, and the beverage in turn will be matami, the food. The rishon also sheni b'chulin, because first there is second level tuma by chulin, not third level, but second level. If it's a bracha, come on the pass, according to this, you should require bracha, just like by bread. I will test because of psachim, besides right, psachim there, and mem al kotes vav. The tila zoom ain't a mishum kedusha and kiyas kibapas. This netila is not because of holiness and cleanliness. And mishum shelo yitma mashkin, in order that you shouldn't make the mashkin tamei. You shouldn't then come to drink them and make your body puzzle, because you then become a sheni. that's the case, it's just a way to be safeguard, not a specific commandment. Midrabanan came with Leka. They visa near the answer Baruch Zu also until came Leka mitzvah lishma the Chachamim, because there's no mitzvah to hear the words of Chachamim in this. Akal Shano. Klomar meaning the be'emes mishum tuma the taro lo shaychet sleinu tuma tar not relevant to us. That one of these mean to be tuma that we take care to avoid tuma. Our main obligation is from the smachta of iskadashtem, of holiness. This only applies to bread and formal eating settings. The time of the srach truma tam noisaf. The reason of the chashash you might come to the time of truma, if we're not careful, is an additional reason. Came the bazel lo shayach hachlis v'kadashtem, and since eating fruit and vegetables is not relative relatives with kadasha because it's not a formal eating, lo shayach bracha, we can't make a bracha till it's time. Kamri shem so we can't several shem hold this way. Uteyasu enchi of klab is manased to yadav to the bemashke. Because this is no obligation today when we're not careful to matara to wash when eating something dipped in beverage, which makes it v'zeh eno rak b'zman kadmon is only ancient days. Shachal matara when they ate things with purity. That's why people are lenient in this matter today. The Shmuel writes a minute we're very machmir about this, and he wrote that the primary psak is like most folks that you need a tila according to the law even manazeh, and therefore even though the world doesn't make a bracha, nevertheless you should not eat davar shekula v'mashke unless you wash first. The minhag olam is actually not like that today. The minhag olam is not like the Arukh HaShulchan. I don't know, literally like HaShulchan, or by default like HaShulchan, but like HaShulchan, and most people do not wash for peiros. There is a long bracket here. First, yeah. Lavush Kasav the day azu the el mishum nekios. The Lavush wrote that according to the opinion, which I guess is lenient, is only if it's on the assumption that it's only because of cleanliness. V'arad muim. It's astonishing. The lady because for Taisus Glamishim Nikis. Taisus writes it's not because of cleanliness. Because for Turbisim Tafan Gimel, they know like a din zeh. You know this halacha today because it's not because of Nikis. The words of the Rabbeinu Yerucham, which brought by Yosef, make cause Levush to go astray. Because it says that there's a it's a total satvus, because it says there. Some people say it's only because of nikius. Ayin sham total satvusu. It's a mistake. Cancel from Rashi. It's not because of nikius. V'yodua shesifer Rabbeinu Yerucham uleim tos. It's known that the books of Rabbeinu Yerucham are full of mistakes. And the Gos it's brought down properly on Sham. Kamtasi Kavav Yesh Tos Bezev the Rabbeinu Yerucham. Taz also has this mistake. Rabbeinu Yerucham, at the beginning of the Rabbeinu Yeruchams, it says that people were loath to publish it because people who published it seemed to have died young. So that's why the original tfus always remained the tfus which was used, and it was never updated. I guess offset is okay, but nobody wanted to update it and change it. Okay. Hey, when they required you to, when you were required to wash for things you dunked in beverage, I feel any other nokas mokamasha. It's true, even your hands don't touch the place where the beverage are on the fruit. The chashina, because we're concerned, shema yigu, maybe they will touch that place. Only if you're dipping the tip of, even only dipping the tip of the vegetable or the fruit. Anytime you do this in any event, you wash without a bracha. Because we just explained, many people it's not even relevant. Those great rabbis, they'll say that the primary halacha is like the first opinion. Which means the going Rambam tzarich levarich. That is the gra. Then I mean, okay, it's the minhag is not like the gra. Even those who are meticulous about the washing for things which are dipped in liquid, Mikomakom Yom Lo Shamana Shivorcham Til Sedayim. So brachos lakel. Now we never heard that they make a bracha until Sedayim, and a suffix brachos is lahakel. Magam Davar Shavuot and Yisrael Klub Bezek Klau, especially something with most people are not concerned with at all. Vav, but regardless, mashkin haim rak shiva mashkin loiser. Not all liquids are beverages. Beverages are only 7. Veilen, these are they: yayin, vash, shemen, cholav, tau, dam, mayim, wine, honey, oil, milk, dew, blood, and water. And the simon for that is the Rashi Tevis Yad Shachat Dam. I was trying many nachluchas, but other than the moisture, kishuman v'zeo, like fat and perspiration, and made payros and fruit juice. Ain't a mashkin that considered to be beverages. Only these 7 beverages are machshir free fruit, make a fruit suitable to eat mikabel tumah, because we know before fruit or vegetable becomes wet, it can't be mikabel tumah, and only these can convey tumah. These beverages, cause mashkin lachin, as long as they're moist enough that when you tap on them, your hand comes away with some moisture on it. They're called moist. But if it's less than that, they're like dry, ain't something until you don't have to wash. Here, honey refers to honey, to bee honey. The honey from dates is considered to be fruit juice and not a beverage. Mishmur writes that any other type of honey also is not considered to be beverage, only bee honey. And that's why, of course, Arukh HaShulchan goes on to say, the honey of wasps and such like, is not a beverage. The blood we mentioned is irrelevant here. Now the blood, so there better not be any blood on the fruits when you're eating it. And the blood of fish and locust, lavi mashka. It's not a beverage. Dam is only mentioned because it's one of the beverages which are machshir, not because it's relevant to salacha, but that only because that chashur person gamkan they mention also here kishigra the lish in the Mishnah shop. Just as the flow of the language taken from the Mishnah over there. The Mishnah Berurah says maybe it's talking about we're eating a food which is dipped in blood because of refuah or pikuach nefesh. Okay. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, wine vinegar is wine. And if it's vinegar, which is primarily water, I think our vinegar is like 5% vinegar and 95% water, so it's water. And also our beer, it's also water. And also whiskey, it's also water. Spirit, even spirits, they're considered water. I'm not sure about Zex and 96% alcohol. I don't know. Those who want to say that it is just perspiration, then okay, it's not true. Even though you distill it, it's not just perspiration. Much water goes into them. All types of beverages which are found in cellars, I guess any type of intoxicating beverage, it's relevant to it that it's considered to be dipped in a beverage. Mishnah Berurah writes that if you put lekach, pastry, in yash, in whiskey, it's not a davar shepulu mashke b'shum nezeya. Who? Because this is yash is a perspiration from grain, and it's made peros, which argues with the Arukh HaShulchan. And even if the yash is the yain saraf is mixed in with water, nevertheless the water is a minority. Therefore, don't require netila. If the water is majority, then he says it's according to the grades, different grades of alcohol, different amounts of water, then it is included in mashke. Okay, more machmer than the Arukh HaShulchan, more makel than the Arukh HaShulchan. Sorry. Okay. The Simon Zain. Hashoyes Sifsha Zain. Hashoyes Mashkin ain't certainly Toyota. Somebody who drinks beverages does not have to wash his hands. Came to they clean because you always drink through a vessel. If you tava it's baba mashkin moitzit, you put your finger in the liquid and suck it. Hey, ain't it something you don't have to wash? There are guys when people don't do this. Therefore, somebody who dips a food in a beverage, if it's not a type of food which is normally dipped in a beverage, ain't so this time. The butler died to go on them. You don't have to wash because your das is butter. We don't take your das into account. Things which are normally dipped in beverage. Even if you dip it through a fork, or cup, or a spoon, certain this time, you have to wash the plug rabban. Didn't draw a distinction according to those who do wash. However, something which is normally eaten by a spoon, like soup, oben mazleg, or with a fork, like fish and meat, or meat. And so they don't require washing. The Zokashai said that's like drinking. And those who dip their fruit in water in order to clear or to clean them from dirt, or other types of repugnant stuff, or pesticides. And eat them while they're still moist, you have to wash them. But if you dry them, there's still some moisture upon them. And so this time you don't have to wash. Black and special. The Mishnah writes that a cooked dish from dried wheat, in other words, it was washed and dried. In other words, that whatever sauce was on them was moved. They don't require Natil Sedayim. But if there's still sauce upon them, then they would require Natil Sedayim. Okay? Ches, may beitzim, may peros. Egg liquids, like whites of the egg or the yolk of the egg, is may peros. It's fruit juice. And so too fats of animals and birds. Umayim shiglid, the water which has become iced. It's not considered to be a beverage. Because in the milcha, when they melt again, have a mashke. Then it's a beverage again. Snow is not a beverage. But if you decide you're going to use it as a beverage, have a mashke, it's a beverage even when it has not yet melted yet. And as the Arukh HaShulchan says, it's not melted. The ilu nimochu, when it's melted, harei and mayim gemorah, it's absolute water. Because of Rambam, Perek Al, Tubas Ochen Din Yutes, Hashemen HaKorush Einu Lo'ochev U'Lamashke. Congealed oil is not food nor beverage. Choshev Alav Kshu Korush Ben Lo'ochev Ben Lamashke. If you think about it, when it's congealed, whether as food or as beverage, but Ladaito, not considered. You can't make it into food. Cholav Shekorash, milk which became crusted, Lo'ochev Lamashke. It's also not food or drink. Choshev but Ladaito, right? Im Choshev Lamashke. He's but Ladas, even if he thinks of it to be a mashke, to be a drink. Presumably, shemen, I don't know why he doesn't say but Ladaito. I guess if you think of it, ochel, I guess there is such a thing as cheese, so therefore crusted milk can be considered ochel, which is not a mashke. Chen yain udvashadin case. It's true. It's about wine and honey. When they melt, they are dissolved. They're considered to be mashkin again. The Mishnah said all mashkin, which all beverages get hardened, whether by cooking or by cooling, so that they are not moist enough to make something else moist, they're no longer considered to be a mashkin. Taisus holds that even if they are melted afterwards, with the exception of wine or water or milk, then they no, he says, even if they melted afterwards, with the exception of wine, water, or milk, they all are still not considered mashke. Only wine, water, or milk, which melts again, is considered to be a mashke. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, the milk which is in the stomach of a animal or in the udders of an animal, ain't no mashke. It's not considered to be milk. The chema ain't no mashke and kain nimocha. This reduced that butter is not a mashke unless it's melted. The other davar chema, there is something eats something spread with butter. Ain't something this time. You don't need it this time. I feel tocho be yadav. Even if you put the butter on your hands, stand, brush the butter on the hands. Mishmur writes, somebody eats something fried in butter. When it's moist, you have to wash your hands. Chayram said that specifically when the butter melted in the pan at the time of the frying, before you put the food into it, and therefore we had a name of a mashke, a beverage, beforehand. But if before you put the food in. But if it melted after you put the food in, then we hold that a mashke, which comes to fix food, it's part of food. So therefore, since it was melted at the time you put the food in, it's like a condiment. And there was not. It's not. You don't have to wash for that. But back to Arukh HaShulchan, there's no difference if something is made solid, whether it's by cooking or dehydrating or by cooling. It's avu rak ma'at, but if they're just a little bit thicker, by then they're going to still be poured. There's enough moisture in them to make something else moist. Have a mashke that it is a beverage, and it requires washing.